Boston, Massachusetts, December 1773. The harbor was quiet. 3 ships sat anchored in the cold water. Their cargo seemed ordinary. Tea, hundreds of chests of it. Yet within a few hours, that tea would become the center of one of the most famous protests in history. A protest that would help spark a revolution. To understand why, we need to go back several years. The British Empire had recently fought an expensive global conflict known as the 7 Years' War. Although Britain emerged victorious, the war left the government deeply in debt. British leaders believed the American colonies should help pay some of those costs. So new taxes were introduced. Many colonists were outraged. They argued that they had no representatives in the British Parliament. If they could not vote on taxes, they believed those taxes were unfair. The phrase "no taxation without representation" became a rallying cry. Tensions continued to grow. Protests spread. Boycotts were organized. Arguments intensified on both sides of the Atlantic. Then came tea. In 1773, Parliament passed the Tea Act. The law gave the British East India Company certain advantages in selling tea to the colonies. British officials believed the measure would help solve economic problems and lower tea prices. But many colonists saw something else. They viewed it as another attempt by Britain to assert authority over them. When ships carrying tea arrived in Boston Harbor, opposition quickly formed. Meetings were held, crowds gathered. Speakers demanded that the tea be sent back to England. The situation became increasingly tense. Governor Thomas Hutchinson refused to allow the ships to leave without unloading their cargo. Neither side was willing to back down. Then came the night of December 16, 1773. A large group of colonists gathered in Boston. Some disguised themselves. Others simply wanted to avoid identification. Under cover of darkness, they moved toward the ships. The participants boarded the vessels. Working quickly and efficiently, they opened chest after chest of tea. Then they dumped the contents into the harbor, tea poured into the cold water below. By the end of the night, 342 chests had been destroyed. The value of the cargo was enormous. The harbor was filled with floating tea leaves. News of the event spread rapidly. Some colonists celebrated. Others worried about the consequences. In Britain, officials were furious. To them, the destruction of private property was an unacceptable challenge to imperial authority. The government responded with harsh measures. A series of laws known in Britain as the Coercive Acts were passed. Many colonists called them the Intolerable Acts. Boston Harbor was closed. Political freedoms were restricted. Military authority increased. Rather than calming the situation, the new laws had the opposite effect. Colonists who had previously disagreed began finding common ground. Support for resistance grew. Communication between the colonies increased. Soon, representatives gathered to discuss a united response. The conflict continued to escalate. Neither side wanted to surrender its position. By 1775, fighting broke out at Lexington and Concord. The American Revolutionary War had begun. What started as a dispute over taxes and political representation had become a struggle that would reshape the world. Years of war followed. Battles were fought across the colonies. Families were divided. Soldiers endured immense hardship. Finally, in 1783, the conflict ended. The United States gained independence. A new nation had been born. Looking back, historians often view the Boston Tea Party as one of the key turning points on the road to revolution. The participants could not have known exactly what would follow. They could not predict the battles, sacrifices, and political changes ahead. But their actions sent a powerful message. They demonstrated that many colonists were willing to challenge one of the most powerful empires on Earth. Today, the Boston Tea Party remains one of the most recognizable acts of protest in history. Not because tea itself was so important, but because it symbolized a much larger question. Who should have the power to govern? The answer to that question helped shape the future of an entire nation. And it all began with a few ships, a cold December night, and hundreds of chests of tea disappearing into Boston Harbor.